Jay stepped into the quiet docking bay, his boots echoing slightly on the metallic floor. The starship Unity Arc stood tall in front of him, a symbol of the Interspecies Alliance. He carried only one small bag on his shoulder. That was all he needed. He was just a technician, sent here to help fix communication modules and monitor atmosphere filters. Nothing fancy. Nothing special. He had been part of the Human Expansion Program, which encouraged young people from Earth to work aboard mixed-species ships. Jace didn't mind. He didn't have many people to leave behind anyway. He was used to being alone. As he approached the check-in station, a robotic assistant scanned his ID chip and printed a room number. Room 4B19, shared pod. "Welcome aboard," it said in a flat voice. "Shared pod?" Jace raised an eyebrow. He had requested a single room, but maybe something got mixed up. He shrugged. As long as it was quiet, he could manage. Room 4B19 was compact, with two bunks built into the wall, one above the other. The light inside was soft and blue. Jace tossed his bag onto the lower bunk and looked around. No one was in sight. Maybe his roommate hadn't arrived yet. He sat down and took a deep breath. The air smelled clean, too clean, like every recycled ship he had been on. After a few minutes, he decided to lie down for a bit. He hadn't slept much during the shuttle ride. Just as he started to drift off, the door slid open. A tall figure entered the room. Her skin was pale blue with a soft shimmer under the lights. She had long, silver-colored hair pulled behind her pointed ears. Her eyes were large and violet, blinking slowly as she looked at him. "Hello," she said, her voice quiet and gentle. "You must be my bunkmate." Jace sat up quickly. "Yeah, I guess so. I'm Jace, from Earth." "I am Lara," she replied with a short bow. "Of Velari." He had heard of the Velari. A peaceful race known for their emotional intelligence and calm nature. They were also known to be very private and rarely shared personal spaces with other species. Jace stood awkwardly. I can take the bottom bunk if you prefer the top." Lyra shook her head gently. "Bottom is fine. I do not mind." She moved with graceful steps, placing her small case under the bed. Then she sat cross-legged on the bunk and began reading something on her wrist device. Jace climbed up to the top bunk, still feeling a bit unsure. He pulled the privacy curtain halfway and lay back down. He didn't expect what happened that night. Hours later, the ship's lights dimmed into sleep mode. The soft hum of the engines provided a calm background noise. Jace was half asleep, drifting in and out of dreams, when he suddenly felt movement. Before he could react, something warm and soft wrapped around him. He froze. Lyra, without saying a word, had climbed up into his bunk and curled up beside him, one arm around his chest and her face resting gently against his shoulder. Jace's heart started beating fast. He didn't move. He didn't know what to do. Lyra?" He whispered, but she was already asleep. He lay still, too shocked to think. What was happening? Was this normal for Velari? Was she sleepwalking? And yet, something about it wasn't uncomfortable. Her body was warm. Her breathing was calm. Her presence was oddly comforting. Maybe she mistook him for a body pillow or something. He slowly let out a breath and closed his eyes again. In the morning, Lyra was back on her own bunk as if nothing had happened. She sat cross-legged again, sipping from a cup of warm nectar. Reading quietly, Jace climbed down and rubbed the back of his neck. "So, did you have a good night's sleep?" Lyra looked at him and nodded with a small smile. "Yes, best sleep in weeks." She didn't bring up the hugging, neither did Jace. Later that day, Jace reported to his workstation and got busy calibrating the ship's environmental sensors. He didn't tell anyone about the strange sleeping arrangement. It wasn't bad, just surprising. When his shift ended, he returned to the room. Lyra was already there, organizing a few belongings. He cleared his throat. "So, about last night." Lyra turned toward him. "Did I make you uncomfortable?" Jace paused. "I was surprised, that's all." "I didn't expect it. I apologize," she said gently. "My species finds it easier to rest when we are near warmth. During training, we were given large comfort plushes to help us rest. Last night, I suppose I saw you as one." Jace blinked. You thought I was a plush toy? Lyra's expression remained calm, but the tips of her ears turned slightly purple. Valari body language for embarrassment. Not exactly, but you were soft and warm, like a rest companion. Jace laughed quietly. Well, I guess I can live with being a rest companion. Lyra tilted her head. Then, you do not mind? He hesitated, then shook his head. It was strange at first, but honestly, I didn't hate it. That night, when the lights dimmed again, Jace was already waiting when Lyra climbed up and gently snuggled beside him. Her touch was not romantic, not intentional in that way. It was pure comfort, like a child hugging a stuffed animal for peace, and yet, something about it made Jace feel seen, valued. Like he mattered. He fell asleep faster than he ever had in his life. Every night, after lights dimmed on the Unity Arc, his Valari bunkmate, Lyra would quietly climb into his upper bunk and wrap her arms around him like he was a life-sized comfort pillow. It wasn't rushed or awkward anymore. It had become a part of the night, like brushing his teeth or turning off his wrist communicator. At first, he had been nervous, but now it felt normal. Actually, it felt nice. Lyra never said much during the night. Sometimes she whispered soft words in her own language, things Jace couldn't understand. But her tone was gentle, and her voice always slowed his heartbeat. She slept deeply when she held on to him. And strangely, he did too. One morning, Jace woke up to find Lyra already sitting cross-legged on the floor, fixing a piece of Valari tech. A small glowing device was disassembled in her lap. He stretched and climbed down. You always wake up so early? She nodded without looking up. The inner clock of my people runs ahead of this ship's cycle. I adjust as needed. Jace grabbed a protein bar and sat beside her. What is that? It is a calming orb, she explained, used by young ones during rest. It plays soft sounds and emits slow pulses of warmth. I was going to send it to my cousin on Valari Prime. He tilted his head. So you really do have cuddle tools and sleep helpers? Lyra looked at him, then offered a rare smile. Yes, our minds are sensitive. If we do not rest properly, we grow anxious. And you've been using me as your calming orb? She gave a thoughtful nod. You provide warmth and stillness, and you do not push me away. Jace laughed softly. That's one way to describe me, warm and still. There was a pause before Lyra spoke again. You are kind, Jace. You allow something strange without judgment. I respect that. He looked at her. You're not strange. You're just different, but a good kind of different. They sat in comfortable silence after that, each fixing small things from their work kits. The strange bond between them was quiet but strong. Neither of them said it out loud, but something had changed between them. The following day, during a crew meeting in the mess hall, Jace noticed something. New, whispers, side glances. Some crew members were pointing, then quickly looking away. Lyra sat beside him, silent as usual, but her ears flicked in small movements, her way of showing unease. Are they talking about us? He asked in a low voice. She didn't answer. Right away, then she nodded. JSCE frowned. Why? Some do not understand how Valari connect, she whispered. They think I am too close to you. Well, that's none of their business, he said, a little louder than he meant to. A few heads turned. Jace looked around. Is there a rule against two crew members sleeping in the same bunk? No one answered, but the tension in the room softened. Lyra's shoulder touched his, just barely. It felt like a silent thank you. Later that evening, Lyra invited Jace to walk with her through the observation dome. Stars sparkled beyond the glass as the ship cruised near a planetary system. I come here when I need to think, she said. It reminds me that we are small and also important. Jace placed his hands in his jacket pockets. Do you miss your home? Every day, she replied. But I am learning that comfort can exist far from home. They stood in silence, again watching the stars. Then she asked something unexpected. Have you ever shared dreams? Jace blinked. Like, told someone your dreams? No, she said. Valari have dreamstones. They allow two minds to rest together, sharing emotions and memories while asleep. It is a deep experience, usually used for bonding, Like relationships? He asked, surprised. Not always romantic, she explained. But always meaningful. Jace hesitated. You're thinking of sharing dreams with me? She nodded. Only if you wish, but it is not required. You already give me peace. Jace didn't answer right away. The idea of someone seeing into his dreams made him nervous. He wasn't used to being open, not even with people from Earth, but Lyra. He trusted her. Let's try it, he said finally, one night. See what happens. That night, after lights dimmed, Lyra brought out a small crystal device. It pulsed gently with a soft silver light, not glowing, but alive. She placed it between them on the bunk and whispered something in her language. Then she touched the side of Jace's head and pressed her forehead against his. The world slowly faded. Jace found himself standing on grass, not a memory, but something like a dream. It was Earth, but the colors were richer. The sky above looked like both Earth and Velaris at once. He turned and saw her, Lyra, dressed in flowing robes, her hair moving in the wind, her face peaceful. She stepped forward. Her voice echoed with warmth. This is your dream? I think so, Jace replied. It feels safe. Then the scene shifted. He saw a younger version of himself alone in a small room, hugging a pillow tightly. Cold rain tapping the window, a birthday cake with only one candle. No one else around. He felt embarrassed. He turned away, but Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder. I see now, she said softly. You needed comfort too. The vision changed again. Now they stood on Velaris' crystalline beaches. Lyra's past came to life, a classroom destroyed by an invasion, her running through fire, losing her elder sister. Jace's heart tightened. He reached for her hand. Lyra looked at him. We are more alike than I thought. When they woke up the next morning, the ship lights were still dim. Neither spoke for a moment. Finally, Lyra said, Thank you for showing me your truth. Jace smiled. Thanks for not running away. You are no plush toy anymore, she said softly. You are something more. He didn't know what to say, so instead he reached out and took her hand in his. Just for a moment, it wasn't romantic, but it was real, and it meant everything. Jace was quiet during his shift. He stood at the back of the engine room, checking wires and temperature readings on the control panel, but his mind wasn't on the numbers. It was still stuck in the dream from the night before. He had never shared something so personal with anyone, especially not while asleep, and yet Lyra had seen his pain, his loneliness, and hadn't looked away. She had stayed. She had even shown her own memories in return. That kind of trust was rare. He still couldn't believe it happened. Hey, a voice called from the other side of the room. It was Talo, the ship's power systems lead. You're thinking too much, Jace? Careful, or you'll mix up the plasma lines? Jace smiled. Don't worry, I'm just tired, Talo laughed. Aren't we all? After his shift, Jace returned to the bunk room. Lyra was already there, sitting cross-legged on her lower bunk. She was drawing something on a small glass. Pad with her finger, he leaned against the door. Hey, what are you working on? She looked up. A sketch from our dream. He walked closer. The picture was a glowing beach, half Velari, half Earth-like, with stars hanging low above the sea. She had drawn two small figures standing side by side. One had his hairstyle. The other had long hair and pointed ears. That's us, he said quietly. Lyra nodded. I did not want to forget. Neither of them said much after that. But when the lights dimmed for night mode, Lyra climbed into the top bunk without hesitation, curled beside him, and placed her hand lightly over his chest. She didn't need the dreamstone this time. The next few days passed calmly. Jace and Lyra worked separate jobs during the day, but their connection grew stronger. They shared short meals, exchanged stories, and sometimes simply sat together without speaking. Other crew members had stopped whispering. Many had accepted that the two were close and even admired it. Some even asked Jace questions about Velari customs, wanting to understand better. One evening, as Jace was helping fix a small air vent near the cargo bay, a loud alarm suddenly blared. Warning: Section 7 system failure. Emergency lockdown. Engaged. Before Jace could move, heavy doors slammed shut between him and the exit. He activated his communicator. This is Jason Section 7, I'm locked in. A fuzzy voice replied, "Hang tight, system glitch, trying to override." Then silence. Jace looked around. The air vent near him was still open. He could crawl through it, but it was narrow. And he didn't know where it led. Suddenly, he heard movement behind him. A familiar voice called out, "Jace?" He turned. Lyra was there, having entered from a nearby passage before the lockdown. His eyes widened. "Lyra, you shouldn't be in here." She shook her head. "When I heard the alert, I ran to find you." A sudden shiver hit Jace. The temperature in the room had dropped. Section 7's environmental controls must have failed. "We need to keep warm," he said, rubbing his arms. Lyra's expression turned serious. "Velari bodies are not made for cold. My body will weaken quickly." Jace looked around. No heaters, no blankets. Only a few storage containers and sealed crates. He took off his jacket and gave it to her. She hesitated, then accepted it. Then he did the only thing that made sense. He sat down beside the wall and motioned for her to sit with him. "Like how we sleep. We stay close." Lyra sat beside him and leaned against his side. Her body was cold. Jace wrapped both arms around her, pulling her gently against him. "This will help." She rested her head against his shoulder. "You are always warm. And you always run toward danger when I'm in it," he replied. She gave a small smile. "It is not danger if it leads me to you." They stayed like that for a long time. Minutes passed, then an hour. Their breathing slowed. The temperature continued to fall, but their closeness kept them both from freezing. Jace whispered, "You know, I used to sleep alone all my life. Now, I can't imagine not having you beside me." "You are not a plush toy anymore," Lyra said softly. "You are my peace." He didn't reply, but his arms gently squeezed her, and that said enough. Finally, after what felt like forever, the emergency doors hissed and lifted open. Talo rushed in with 2 security crew members. "We got the override working. You two all right?" Jace nodded slowly. "We're fine, just cold." One of the security officers noticed how Lyra was leaning into Jace, still wrapped in his jacket. He raised an eyebrow but said nothing. As they helped them up and guided them out of Section 7, Talo patted Jace on the shoulder. "Looks like you found a better survival method than most of us would have." Jace just smiled. "Let's say I had the right company." Back in their room, after warm drinks and rest checks, Lyra was quiet. She looked out the small window at the stars, her eyes thoughtful. "You could have gotten hurt," Jace said. Softly, "Why did you come after me?" She turned to him. "Because I felt something. When the alarm rang, my heart raced. I didn't want to lose you." Jace stepped closer. "And I didn't want anything to happen to you." She looked at him. "Do you understand now why we Velari hug for sleep? It is not just physical. It's how we protect emotions." "I understand now," he whispered, "and I feel the same." That night, when they lay down in the bunk, they didn't need the Dreamstone or words. They simply held each other in silence, but it wasn't just comfort anymore. It was something deeper. Something growing, something real. Jace was fixing a loose cable in the communication panel when his thoughts drifted again back to that cold room. The way Lyra had wrapped her arms around him without hesitation. She didn't care about danger. She had only cared about reaching him. Even now, days later, the memory stayed with him like a warm shadow. Lyra was quiet as always, but there was something new in her eyes when she looked at him. A softness, a calm understanding that didn't need words. She still held him every night, just as before, but now it felt different, stronger, not just for sleep, not just for comfort, for connection. One evening, the crew was invited to a celebration in the observation dome. A new Alliance member species had officially joined the Intergalactic Council. There were lights, music, and dishes from every world. Even humans had sent chocolate bars and fruit pies as cultural gifts. Jace stood near a food table, sipping from a cup of sweet Velari nectar, when someone called his name. "Jace, you're coming to dance, right?" It was Nira, a half-human, half-Drenari pilot. She smiled as she waved him over to the center where others were gently swaying to the soft rhythm. "I'm not much of a dancer," Jace replied. "Oh, come on," Nira teased. Everyone's dancing, even your Valari shadow over there. Jace looked up. Lyra was indeed nearby, her silver hair glowing under the soft ceiling lights. She was standing near a small group of Valari diplomats. She wasn't dancing, just watching. But her eyes were on him. Jace walked over to her. "You're not dancing either," he said. She tilted her head. "Valari dances are not like yours. Ours are slow. Shared only between close ones." He smiled. "Would you show me?" Lyra blinked, surprised. Then slowly she placed her hand in his and led him to the edge of the dance area. There, without music, without announcement, she turned toward him and placed one hand lightly on his shoulder. The Valari dance was more like a calm movement of breath and balance. She moved slowly and he followed, unsure at first, but then their rhythm matched. It felt more like floating than dancing. People began to notice. Some smiled, some whispered. But no one interrupted. To them, the human and Valari swaying in sync was simply beautiful. When the dance ended, Lyra whispered, "You are light on your feet." "You're very patient," Jace replied. They shared a soft laugh. Then she leaned in slightly and said, "I like that." "So did I." Back in their bunk room, the mood was quiet, peaceful. Lyra sat on the floor, brushing her long hair gently. Jace leaned against the wall, watching her. "I never imagined I'd be living like this," he said. "Like what?" she asked. "Sharing. A ship, a room, dreams, with someone from a different world." Lyra paused, then looked at him. "Do you regret it?" He shook his head. "No, it's the best thing that's ever happened to me." There was silence between them. Not awkward, just thoughtful. Then Lyra reached into her small drawer and pulled out the dreamstone again. "I know we already shared once," she said softly, "but would you like to do it again? This time we shape it together." Jace nodded. "Yes, let's try." That night, with the dreamstone placed gently between them, the world of their minds opened again. But this time, it wasn't a beach or a memory. It was something new. They stood in a peaceful garden, trees from Earth, mixed with glowing flowers from Valari. A gentle stream flowed nearby, and the air smelled of both pine and sweet mist. "This is beautiful," Jace said. "We made it together," Lyra replied. In this dream world, they walked slowly, hand in hand. They showed each other small things. Jace brought a wooden toy from his childhood. Lyra brought a floating lantern from a Valari ceremony. Then Lyra looked at him and said, "There's something I must show you." She touched the air, and a vision appeared. A large hall on Valari Prime, people standing in rows, watching as two figures stepped forward to join hands under a crystal arch. "This is a bonding ceremony," Lyra explained. "When two Valari wish to be united, not just by custom, but by trust and spirit." Jace watched, saying nothing. "It is not required," she continued. "But when it happens, it is forever." He looked at her. "You're not asking for a ceremony, are you?" Lyra smiled slightly. "No, I only want you to understand. I do not hug you every night because I need warmth. I hug you because I feel whole beside you." Jace's heart beat faster. "I feel the same," he whispered. They didn't need to say anything more. In that dream world, they sat by the stream, side by side. And for the first time, Jace rested his head on her shoulder. The next morning, they woke up holding hands. Jace turned slightly and looked at her. "Do you think, when this mission ends, we'll still be together?" Lyra didn't blink. "If you wish it." He smiled. "I do." Just then, a message pinged on the wall screen. "Urgent. All crew report to central deck. Incoming ship unregistered. Possible threat." Lyra stood up quickly. "Let's go." They rushed together to the command center, joining the others. On the large screen, a strange vessel hovered in front of the Unity Ark. Its shape was uneven, almost damaged, and it wasn't responding to calls. "Who are they?" Jace whispered. "No idea," Tala replied, "but their tech is old, maybe pirate class or scavengers." Lyra narrowed her eyes. "They're not here by mistake." The crew prepared for emergency action. Jace and Lyra were assigned to protect the lower engine bay, where the power core was stored. It was a vital section. If taken, the ship would be helpless. As they stood together behind a defense barrier, weapons set to non-lethal stun, Jace glanced at her. If things go bad, they won't, she said firmly, but if they do. Lyra reached for his hand again. We'll face it together. The ship shook slightly. Jace grabbed the edge of the wall as the lights flickered. From where he stood in the lower engine bay, he could feel the heavy hum of the power core behind him. It was the heart of the ship and the most important thing. To protect, Lyra stood beside him, her eyes fixed on the door. Her hand rested calmly on the side of her tool belt, where a non-lethal energy blaster was clipped. Her expression was serious but not afraid. Do you hear that? Jace asked quietly. She nodded. They've boarded a small team. 5, maybe 6. He felt a chill, but not from fear. It was the same feeling he got every time danger appeared, and someone he cared about was in it with him. Should we seal the room? He asked. No, she replied. If we lock it, they'll try to break in. It's better to face them directly, defend what matters. Jace looked at her and gave a small nod. Okay, together. A few minutes later, the door opened slowly. A loud hiss came first. Then shadows appeared in the doorway, the intruders. War-patch suits and old helmets. Their gear looked like it had been stolen from different planets. They didn't speak, they just raised their weapons and stepped inside. Jace raised his blaster and shouted, "Stop right there!" The lead intruder aimed without warning. Before he could fire, Lyra stepped in front of Jace, blocking his side. Her quick shot hit the attacker's hand. Knocking the weapon away, the others rushed forward. Jace fired, hitting one in the leg. Another jumped behind a crate. The room filled with movement, noise, and flashing lights, but somehow Jace and Lyra stayed calm. They moved like a single team. Her steps were smooth and planned. His reactions were fast and sharp. They didn't let fear take over. After a few minutes, it was over. 3 intruders lay on the floor stunned and groaning. The others had run, and the alarm had called backup security. Jace leaned against the wall, breathing hard. That was close. Lyra touched his arm. But we're safe. The core is safe. You are safe. He looked at her. You saved me again? We saved each other, she replied, as security officers entered the room and secured the attackers. Jace and Lyra stepped back together. Tallow ran in and gave a quick thumbs up. Nice work down here. You two might have saved the entire ship. Jace smiled, still catching his breath. We just held our ground. But it wasn't just that. It was something more. Later that evening, after things had calmed down, Captain Rhea made an announcement to the crew. Today, we saw how trust and unity between species saved us. In honor of that bond, the Command Council is officially recognizing human Valari Bunkmate pairing 4B19 for bravery, teamwork, and emotional unity. Jace was surprised. Lyra simply bowed her head respectfully. When they returned to their room, the lights were dim again. But something felt different. There was peace. There was warmth, and there was something unspoken that now needed to be said. Lyra sat on her lower bunk, looking at her dreamstone. It sat in her hand, calm and glowing faintly. You know, Jace? Sighed. I never thought being a bunkmate would change my life. Lyra looked up. And yet, you changed mine. He sat across from her, quiet for a moment. When I first arrived, I thought you were shy, private, closed off. I was, she said softly. I didn't expect to connect with anyone, but your presence was gentle, honest. It opened something inside me. He smiled, and I thought, I was just someone filling a bunk, but you made me feel seen. They sat in silence again, then Jace reached for her hand. Lyra, when the mission ends, I don't want to return to Earth without you. She looked at him, her violet eyes soft. Then I will not let you leave without me. I'm serious, he said. This isn't just about sleep or hugs. It's something deeper now. I care about you. I want to be with you. I know, she whispered, and I want the same. She placed the dreamstone gently back in its case. Then, she said, standing up, let us continue what we've started, beyond this ship, beyond this mission. Jace stood too. He opened his arms, and without hesitation, she stepped into them. That night, they didn't lie side by side like before. They curled together as one. No longer bunkmates. No longer just a human and an alien. Sharing space. But partners. A new story had started between them. One written in soft touches, in silent dreams, in shared warmth under the stars. Weeks later, when the Unity Ark docked at a major Alliance station, many crews separated going back to their home planets or new missions, but not Jace and Lyra. They submitted a request together for permanent shared duty. Not because of regulation. Not because of comfort, but because their bond had become something unbreakable. When asked why they insisted on staying in the same pod, same bunk, same path, Jace answered simply, "She sleeps better when she hugs me." And Lyra added with a soft smile, "And I live better when I'm with him."